In the heart of a picturesque countryside, nestled among rolling green hills and expansive pastures, lay a small family farm. The farm, owned by the Watson family for generations, was a place of peace and routine. Each day began with the crowing of roosters, the hum of morning chores, and the gentle lowing of cattle. Amidst this idyllic setting lived a remarkable horse named Thunder. Thunder was no ordinary horse. His sleek, ebony coat shimmered in the sunlight, and his eyes, deep and intelligent, often seemed to convey emotions beyond the understanding of his human companions. Thunder had been with the Watsons since he was a colt, growing up alongside the children, racing across fields, and becoming an integral part of the family's life. However, in recent weeks, a strange unease had settled over the farm. It began subtly, with Thunder pacing restlessly near the old, weathered barn at the edge of the property. At first, the Watsons dismissed it as mere restlessness, but Thunder's behavior soon became impossible to ignore. Every evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the fields, Thunder would make his way to the barn, his ears perked up, nostrils flaring as he sniffed the air. He would stand there for hours, his powerful body tense and alert, his gaze fixed on the barn door as if guarding it from an unseen threat. Tom Watson, the family's patriarch, was the first to notice the change. "Thunder's been acting strange lately," he mentioned to his wife Sarah one crisp morning. Sarah, wiping her hands on her apron, glanced out the kitchen window at the barn where Thunder was yet again stationed. "He has been uneasy," she agreed, a note of concern in her voice. "Maybe he senses something we don't." Their son, Jack, who had grown up with Thunder and shared a special bond with the horse, decided to investigate further. One evening, as the sky turned a dusky purple and the first stars began to twinkle, Jack approached Thunder, who was already standing vigil by the barn. "Hey, boy," Jack murmured, stroking Thunder's mane. "What's got you so worked up?" Thunder responded with a soft whinny, his eyes never leaving the barn door. Jack felt a shiver run down his spine, a sense of foreboding settling over him. He decided to trust Thunder's instincts. "All right," he said softly, "I'll keep watch with you." As the hours passed, Jack's mind raced with possibilities. What could be causing Thunder's distress? The farm was usually a haven of tranquility, yet Thunder's behavior suggested that something was amiss. Jack's resolve strengthened. He knew they had to uncover the source of Thunder's unease. The night deepened, the sounds of the farm quieting until only the occasional hoot of an owl broke the silence. Jack stood beside Thunder, the cold night air biting at his skin. Thunder remained vigilant, his body a silhouette of strength and alertness against the pale moonlight. Little did Jack know, this was just the beginning. Thunder's instincts were leading them toward a discovery that would challenge everything they knew about their peaceful farm. The whispers of danger were growing louder, and soon the Watson family would find themselves facing a threat that only their loyal horse had the foresight to sense. The next morning, the Watson family gathered around the breakfast table, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and homemade pancakes filling the kitchen. Jack's mind was still occupied with Thunder's strange behavior from the night before. He glanced at his father, Tom, who was reading the morning newspaper. "Dad, I think we should check out the barn today," Jack said, his voice steady but filled with concern. "Thunder's been acting really strange, and I can't shake the feeling that something's wrong." Tom lowered his newspaper and looked at his son thoughtfully. "You're right, Jack. If Thunder is this uneasy, we should take it seriously. After breakfast, we'll take a closer look." Sarah nodded in agreement. "I've noticed it too. Thunder has always been sensitive to his surroundings. If he's worried, we should be too." After finishing their meal, the family headed out to the barn. The morning sun cast long shadows across the farm, the cool air filled with the sounds of chirping birds and the rustling of leaves. Thunder was already by the barn, his ears perked up as he watched the Watsons approach. "Hey, boy," Jack said, patting Thunder's neck. "We're here to see what's bothering you." Tom carefully opened the barn door, the creak of the hinges breaking the stillness. The interior was dimly lit, the faint smell of hay and wood filling the air. They stepped inside, their eyes adjusting to the darkness. The barn appeared normal at first glance, with stacks of hay bales, old tools, and farming equipment neatly arranged. But Thunder's agitation had not eased. He pawed at the ground, his nostrils flaring as he sniffed the air. Jack followed Thunder's gaze to a corner of the barn, where a pile of hay seemed oddly disturbed. He walked over, pushing aside the hay with his foot. "Dad, over here," Jack called out, his voice tinged with urgency. Tom joined him, and together they uncovered a small trapdoor, partially hidden beneath the hay. "I've never seen this before," Tom muttered, his brow furrowing. "It must have been here for years." Jack's heart raced as he lifted the trapdoor, revealing a set of narrow, dusty stairs leading down into darkness. A musty smell wafted up, and the air felt noticeably cooler. "We need a flashlight," Jack said, his voice barely above a whisper. Sarah quickly fetched a flashlight from the house, and Tom shone the beam down the stairs. The light revealed stone walls and a dirt floor, the passage seemingly leading further underground. Thunder stood at the entrance, his body tense but determined. "Stay here with your mother," Tom instructed Jack, but Jack shook his head. "No, Dad. Thunder and I are coming with you. If there's something down there, we need to face it together." Tom hesitated, then nodded. "All right, but stay close." With Thunder leading the way, the three of them descended the stairs, the flashlight casting eerie shadows on the walls. The air grew colder and the passage narrowed, making them feel as if they were stepping back in time. They reached the bottom of the stairs, finding themselves in a small, hidden room. The walls were lined with wooden crates and old barrels, and a faint, metallic smell lingered in the air. Tom walked over to one of the crates and pried it open, revealing its contents. "Tools and equipment," Tom said, frowning. "But these aren't ours. Someone's been using this place." Jack's eyes widened as he spotted a stack of papers on a nearby table. He picked them up, his heart sinking as he read the contents. "Dad, these are blueprints of our farm," he said, his voice shaking. "Whoever's been here knows every inch of our property." Tom's expression hardened. "We need to get out of here and call the authorities. This isn't safe." As they hurried back up the stairs, Thunder's sense of urgency seemed to grow. The unease that had gripped him was now palpable in the air. The Watsons emerged from the barn, their minds racing with questions and fears. What were those blueprints for? Who had been using their barn as a hideout? The answers were still hidden in the shadows, but one thing was clear. Thunder's instincts had been right. The growing unease they felt was just the beginning of a deeper, more dangerous mystery that threatened their peaceful farm. The Watsons, now fully aware that their farm was being used for a sinister purpose, decided to increase their vigilance. They informed the local authorities about their discovery, but until an investigation could be launched, they knew they had to protect their home themselves. Over the next few days, Tom and Jack took turns keeping watch, patrolling the property with Thunder at their side. Thunder's keen senses and alertness were invaluable, his every movement a testament to his unwavering loyalty. The atmosphere on the farm was tense, each creak of the barn or rustle of the leaves sending a shiver down their spines. One evening, as the sun began to set and cast a golden hue over the fields, Thunder's behavior changed once again. He stood at the edge of the pasture, ears perked and nostrils flaring, staring intently towards the distant tree line. Jack, noticing the change, approached him cautiously. "What is it, boy?" Jack whispered, following Thunder's gaze. The horse snorted softly, pawing at the ground as if urging Jack to look closer. Jack strained his eyes, peering into the growing darkness. At first, he saw nothing unusual, but then a faint glint of light caught his attention, something metallic reflecting the last rays of the sun. He squinted, realizing it was the lens of binoculars. "Dad!" Jack called out urgently, running back towards the house. "Someone's watching us from the woods." Tom grabbed his rifle and rushed out to meet Jack. Together, they moved cautiously towards the tree line, Thunder following close behind. As they approached, the figure with the binoculars bolted, disappearing into the dense forest. "Stay here with Thunder," Tom instructed Jack. "I'll follow him. If I'm not back in 15 minutes, call the sheriff." Jack nodded, his heart pounding in his chest as he watched his father disappear into the trees. He stroked Thunder's neck, trying to calm both the horse and himself. "It's gonna be okay, boy. Dad will find out who that was." Minutes passed like hours, and Jack's anxiety grew. He glanced at his watch, each tick echoing in the silence. Just as he was about to head back to the house to call the sheriff, Tom emerged from the woods, his face grim. "He got away," Tom said, frustration evident in his voice. "But he dropped something." Tom held up a small, weathered notebook, its pages filled with notes and sketches. "It looks like he's been keeping tabs on us for a while," Tom continued, flipping through the pages. "There are dates, times, even notes about our routines. Whoever this is, they've been planning something for a long time." Jack felt a chill run down his spine. "What do we do now, Dad?" "We need to stay vigilant and wait for the sheriff to arrive," Tom replied. "But we can't let our guard down. Not for a second." The Watsons spent the next few days on high alert, every noise and shadow putting them on edge. They set up makeshift alarms around the property, using strings of tin cans and tripwires to alert them to any intruders. Thunder remained their steadfast sentinel, his keen senses often detecting disturbances before anyone else. One night, As Jack and Thunder patrolled the barn, they heard a faint scratching sound coming from inside. Jack's heart raced as he motioned for Thunder to stay quiet. He approached the barn door cautiously, his flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. The scratching grew louder, more frantic. Jack took a deep breath and flung the door open, the flashlight illuminating the interior. To his surprise, he saw a young woman crouched near the back wall, her eyes wide with fear. "Who are you?" Jack demanded, his voice trembling. "What are you doing here?" The woman stood up slowly, her hands raised in a gesture of surrender. "Please, don't hurt me," she pleaded. "I didn't mean any harm. I was just trying to find a safe place to hide." Jack lowered the flashlight slightly, his curiosity piqued. "Hide from who?" The woman glanced around nervously, as if expecting someone to burst in at any moment. "From the people who have been using this barn," she whispered. "They're dangerous. I thought if I could find evidence of their plans, I could go to the police." Jack's mind raced. "You know who they are? What they're planning?" She nodded, her eyes filled with urgency. "Yes, and it's worse than you think. They're planning a raid on your farm to steal your livestock and equipment. They've been using this place to hide stolen goods and plan their attacks." Just then, Tom appeared at the door, his eyes narrowing as he took in the scene. "What's going on here?" Jack quickly explained the situation, and the woman repeated her story. Tom listened intently, then nodded. "All right. We need to get you somewhere safe and contact the sheriff immediately. If what you're saying is true, we don't have much time." As they hurried back to the house, Thunder trotted alongside them, his presence a comforting reminder of their loyal protector. The woman's revelation had cast a new light on the dangers they faced, and the Watsons knew they had to act fast to protect their home and uncover the full extent of the threat. The stage was set for a confrontation, and the Watsons, guided by Thunder's instincts and their own resolve, prepared to face whatever dangers lay ahead. That night, the Watsons fortified their home, preparing for the worst. The young woman who introduced herself as Emily was given a warm meal and a safe place to rest. Despite the hospitality, the air was thick with tension. The family huddled in the living room discussing their next steps. "We have to alert the sheriff," Tom said, his voice firm. "Emily's information changes everything. We can't wait for these criminals to make their move." And Jack nodded in agreement. "I'll stay with Thunder and keep watch. If they try anything tonight, we'll be ready." Sarah, always the heart of the family, placed a reassuring hand on Emily's shoulder. "You're safe here," she said softly. "We'll protect you." As the night wore on, the farmhouse remained eerily quiet. The only sounds were the occasional creak of the old wooden floors and the distant hoot of an owl. Outside, Thunder stood vigilant by the barn, his keen eyes scanning the darkness for any sign of movement. Suddenly, around midnight, Thunder's ears perked up and he let out a low, warning whinny. Jack, who had been dozing in a chair by the window, jolted awake. He grabbed his flashlight and rifle, rushing outside to Thunder's side. "What is it, boy?" Jack whispered, scanning the darkness. Thunder pawed the ground, his eyes fixed on a shadow moving near the edge of the property. Jack's heart raced as he followed Thunder's gaze. He spotted several figures creeping towards the barn, their silhouettes barely visible in the moonlight. He quickly ran back inside, alerting his parents and Emily. "They're here," Jack said, his voice tense. "We need to be ready." Tom grabbed his rifle, and Sarah took Emily by the hand, leading her to a secure room in the back of the house. Jack and Tom positioned themselves near the windows, their eyes trained on the approaching figures. As the intruders neared the barn, Thunder's agitation grew. He let out a loud, defiant neigh, drawing the attention of the criminals. They paused, momentarily startled by the horse's presence. "What's that horse doing?" one of them muttered. "We need to move quickly." Just as they resumed their approach, Tom fired a warning shot into the air. "Get off my property!" he shouted, his voice echoing through the night. The intruders hesitated, glancing at each other nervously. They hadn't expected the Watsons to be prepared. One of them, a tall man with a scar across his cheek, stepped forward, raising his hands. "Easy there," he called out. "We're just here for a little business. No need to get violent." Tom's grip on his rifle tightened. "You think you can steal from us and get away with it? Think again." Before the man could respond, Thunder charged forward, his powerful hooves pounding the ground. He reared up, letting out a fierce, challenging cry. The sight of the massive horse bearing down on them was enough to send the intruders into a panic. "Let's get out of here," one of them shouted, turning to flee. The others quickly followed, scrambling back towards the woods. Thunder chased them to the edge of the property, ensuring they were well and truly gone before trotting back to Jack and Tom, his eyes shining with triumph. Jack knelt down, wrapping his arms around Thunder's neck. "Good boy," he whispered. "You scared them off." Tom lowered his rifle, a mixture of relief and pride washing over him. "You did it, Thunder. You protected us." The family gathered outside, their faces lit by the soft glow of the moon. Emily stepped out of the house, her eyes wide with amazement. "I've never seen anything like that," she said. "Thunder saved us." Sarah hugged Thunder, her eyes filled with gratitude. "You're our hero," she said softly. As dawn broke, the sheriff and his deputies arrived, responding to Tom's earlier call. They took statements from the Watsons and Emily, promising to track down the intruders and ensure they faced justice. The events of the night had shaken the family, but they also reinforced the incredible bond between them and Thunder. The loyal horse had sensed the danger and acted with courage and determination, proving once again that he was far more than just an animal. He was a true guardian of the farm. With the immediate threat behind them, the Watsons felt a renewed sense of hope and resilience. They knew that with Thunder by their side, they could face any challenge that came their way. The night of disturbance had tested their strength, but it had also brought them closer together, united by the bravery of their remarkable horse. The morning sun cast a warm glow over the Watson farm, but the events of the previous night left a lingering sense of unease. As the family gathered for breakfast, the sheriff, a stern but kind-hearted man named Sheriff Adams, sat at the table, listening intently to their account of the intruders. "We'll increase patrols around your property," Sheriff Adams assured them. "But it's clear these criminals are persistent. We need to find out what they're after." Emily, who had been quietly observing, spoke up. "I think they're after more than just livestock. They've been using the barn to store stolen goods, and I overheard them talking about something hidden on this farm, something valuable." Tom's brow furrowed. "Valuable? We don't have anything like that here." Sheriff Adams looked thoughtful. "Sometimes the most valuable things aren't always obvious. Let's search the barn again. Maybe we missed something." With Thunder leading the way, the family and the sheriff headed back to the barn. The air was thick with anticipation as they began a thorough search, moving hay bales and checking every nook and cranny. Thunder, with his keen senses, seemed to guide them, stopping occasionally to sniff at particular spots. Jack, feeling a surge of determination, climbed up to the loft. As he looked around, something caught his eye, a loose board in the floor. "Dad, over here," he called out. Tom and Sheriff Adams joined Jack, and together they pried up the board. Beneath it was a small metal box covered in dust and cobwebs. Tom carefully lifted it out, setting it down on a nearby table. The sheriff examined it closely before prying it open with a crowbar. Inside the box were old documents, maps, and a small velvet pouch. Tom picked up one of the maps, his eyes widening in recognition. "This is a map of our property," he said, "but it's dated from the 1800s. Sheriff Adams opened the velvet pouch, revealing a handful of precious gemstones that glittered in the sunlight. "These are valuable," he said, his voice low. "No wonder they're after this." Emily looked over Tom's shoulder at the map. "It looks like there's a marked spot near the old oak tree by the stream," she pointed out. "Maybe that's where they believe the rest of the treasure is buried." The sheriff nodded. "We need to secure this place and search that area. If the criminals come back, they'll be looking for these." The family worked quickly, hiding the documents and gemstones in a secure place within the house. They then headed out to the oak tree, with Thunder walking beside them, his ears alert and eyes scanning their surroundings. As they approached the tree, Jack noticed something unusual: disturbed soil and broken branches, indicating recent activity. "They've been here," he said, his voice tense. "They must be close to finding whatever they're looking for." Tom handed Jack a shovel, and together they began to dig, the anticipation growing with each scoop of earth. Thunder stood nearby, his body tense, as if sensing the gravity of their task. After what felt like hours, the shovel hit something solid. Tom and Jack cleared away the dirt, revealing an old, weathered chest. The sheriff stepped forward, examining the lock. "It's rusted shut," he said. "We'll need to break it open." With a few well-placed blows from the crowbar, the lock gave way, and the chest creaked open. Inside were more documents, old coins, and artifacts, pieces of the farm's history that had been hidden away for generations. Tom's eyes filled with wonder. "This is incredible," he said softly. "Our ancestors must have buried this to keep it safe." Sheriff Adams nodded. "And now it's clear why the criminals were so determined to find it. But with these documents and artifacts, we can finally understand the true history of your farm and protect it from those who would misuse it." Just then, a rustling sound came from the nearby bushes. Thunder's ears pricked up, and he let out a warning snort. The family and the sheriff turned, spotting the shadowy figures of the intruders emerging from the forest. "There they are!" Sheriff Adams shouted. "Everyone, stay back!" The intruders, realizing they had been discovered, hesitated for a moment, but seeing the chest and its contents, they lunged forward, desperation driving their actions. Thunder, sensing the danger, charged towards them, his powerful body a formidable barrier. The sheriff quickly drew his weapon, firing a warning shot into the air. "Stop right there! You're under arrest!" The sound of the gunshot and Thunder's fierce presence were enough to make the intruders freeze. Sheriff Adams and his deputies, who had arrived just in time, moved in swiftly, handcuffing the criminals and leading them away. As the sun set, casting a golden glow over the farm, the Watsons gathered around the old chest, their hearts filled with relief and pride. Thunder stood beside them, his eyes reflecting the setting sun, a silent guardian who had once again protected his family. The hidden threat had been uncovered, and with it, the true legacy of the Watson farm. The family's bond with Thunder, already strong, was now unbreakable, forged through their shared courage and determination. They knew that whatever the future held, they could face it together, guided by the unwavering loyalty of their remarkable horse. As the last of the intruders were taken away, the Watsons and Sheriff Adams gathered back at the farmhouse, their minds buzzing with the revelations and the excitement of the day. The old chest, now safely secured, held not just material treasures but a deeper connection to their past. "We need to figure out what to do next," Tom said, his voice resolute. "We can't just hide this away again. These documents and artifacts are part of our history." Sheriff Adams nodded in agreement. "We should involve the local historical society. They can help us understand the significance of these items and ensure they're properly preserved. But first, we need to make sure your farm is secure." Emily, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. "There's more to this than just the treasure. The criminals were planning something bigger. We need to find out if they had other accomplices or if there are more dangers we're not aware of." Tom agreed. "We need to be proactive. Let's go through all the documents and maps thoroughly. There might be clues about other hidden areas on the farm or about the criminals' plans." The family spent the next few days meticulously examining every document, map, and artifact. They discovered letters and journals from their ancestors, detailing the history of the farm and the reasons behind the hidden treasures. It became clear that the farm had been a haven during turbulent times, a place where people sought refuge and safety. One evening, as they pored over a particularly old map, Sarah noticed something unusual. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a faint marking near the edge of the property. "It's a symbol, but I don't recognize it." Emily leaned in, her eyes narrowing. "I've seen that symbol before. It's a mark used by a secret society that operated in this area centuries ago. They were known for protecting valuable artifacts and knowledge." Sheriff Adams, who had been listening intently, looked intrigued. "If that's true, there might be more hidden here than we realized. We need to investigate that area." The next day, armed with shovels, flashlights, and a renewed sense of purpose, the family and Sheriff Adams set out to the marked spot. Thunder, as always, led the way, his presence a constant source of reassurance. As they reached the location, they found a large, ancient oak tree, its gnarled branches stretching out like protective arms. Beneath its roots, the ground seemed to shift and give way, as if hiding something beneath its surface. Tom and Jack began to dig, the soil soft and yielding. After a few moments, their shovels hit something solid. With careful hands, they unearthed a large stone slab, engraved with the same mysterious symbol from the map. "This must be it," Jack said, his voice filled with awe. "But how do we open it?" Emily examined the slab closely. "There's an inscription here. It looks like a riddle. Only the brave and true of heart may enter, where the past and future part." The family pondered the riddle, their minds racing to decipher its meaning. Finally, Sarah stepped forward, placing her hand on the slab. "We've come this far together, trusting in each other and in Thunder. That's what makes us brave and true of heart." As if in response to her words, the stone slab began to shift, revealing a hidden compartment beneath. Inside, they found a small, intricately carved box, its lid adorned with symbols and precious stones. Sheriff Adams carefully lifted the box out, opening it to reveal a collection of ancient scrolls, jewels, and a beautifully crafted medallion. These items are incredibly valuable, not just in terms of wealth, but in terms of history and heritage. Tom nodded, his eyes filled with pride. "We need to share this with the world, to honor our ancestors and protect our heritage." The family, along with Sheriff Adams, made arrangements with the local historical society to properly document and preserve the treasures. The society's experts were thrilled by the discovery, eager to study the artifacts and learn more about the farm's storied past. As they worked to catalog the items, the Watsons felt a deep sense of fulfillment. They had not only protected their home and unearthed a hidden legacy, but had also strengthened their bond with each other and with Thunder. The plan had unfolded perfectly, guided by their determination and Thunder's unwavering loyalty. The farm, once a simple place of work and routine, had become a symbol of bravery, unity, and historical significance. The Watsons knew that whatever the future held, they would face it together with Thunder by their side, ready to protect and guide them through any challenge. With the ancient artifacts and documents now in the hands of the Historical Society, the Watsons felt a sense of accomplishment. However, the recent threats had left them wary, and they knew there was more to uncover. Sheriff Adams remained on high alert, determined to unravel the full extent of the criminals' plans. One quiet afternoon, while the family was working in the fields, Emily approached Jack with a thoughtful expression. "Jack, there's something that's been bothering me," she began. "The criminals seemed so sure there was more to find here. What if we missed something in the barn?" Jack nodded, his curiosity piqued. "You're right. Thunder led us to the trapdoor, but maybe there's another clue we overlooked." Together, they headed to the barn, with Thunder following close behind. The barn, now bathed in the soft light of the afternoon sun, seemed less ominous than it had during their previous searches. Yet a sense of anticipation hung in the air as they began to explore. Jack and Emily carefully examined the walls, floor, and every corner of the barn, looking for anything unusual. Thunder stood watch, his ears twitching with every sound. After a thorough search, Jack noticed something peculiar about a set of old shelves against the back wall. "These shelves look like they've been moved recently," Jack observed, running his fingers along the edges. "Help me move them." Emily and Jack pushed the shelves aside, revealing a small, concealed door behind them. Jack's heart raced as he opened it, revealing a narrow passageway that led down into the darkness. "Looks like we've found something," Emily said, her voice tinged with excitement. "Let's see where it leads." With flashlights in hand, they descended the stairs, the air growing cooler as they went deeper. The passageway opened into a large underground chamber, its walls lined with more crates and old wooden chests. Jack approached one of the chests, his hands trembling as he lifted the lid. Inside, they found a collection of old weapons, tools, and more documents. Emily picked up one of the papers, her eyes widening as she read the contents. "These documents are plans for a series of raids," she said, her voice shaking. "The criminals were planning to use this farm as their base of operations." Jack's mind raced. "We need to get these to Sheriff Adams right away. This proves the extent of their plans and could help bring down their entire operation." As they hurried back to the surface, Thunder's senses remained on high alert. Once outside, Jack called Sheriff Adams, who arrived with his deputies within minutes. They carefully examined the newfound evidence, their expressions growing more serious with each passing moment. "This is a major breakthrough," Sheriff Adams said, his voice filled with determination. "These documents link the criminals to several unsolved cases in the region. We can use this information to track them down and dismantle their network." The sheriff and his team secured the underground chamber, taking the evidence back to the station for further analysis. The Watsons, now aware of the true scale of the threat, felt a mix of relief and vigilance. They had uncovered the truth, but the danger was not yet fully behind them. Over the next few days, the sheriff's department worked tirelessly, using the documents to identify and apprehend key members of the criminal organization. The community, once living in quiet ignorance, now rallied together, their collective vigilance ensuring that the farm remained safe. One evening, as the family gathered on the porch, the atmosphere was markedly different from the tension of previous weeks. There was a sense of peace and unity, a feeling that they had faced a significant challenge and emerged stronger. Tom looked at his family, his eyes filled with pride. "We've been through a lot, but we did it together. Thunder was right all along. We needed to uncover the truth to protect our home." Sarah nodded, her eyes misty with emotion. "And now, thanks to everyone's bravery and Thunder's instincts, we've made our farm safer for everyone." Jack looked down at Thunder, who lay contentedly at his feet. "And you were our guide and our protector, Thunder. We couldn't have done it without you." Emily, who had become an integral part of their journey, smiled warmly. "This farm isn't just land and buildings. It's a testament to courage, unity, and the incredible bond between this family and Thunder." As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, the Watsons and Emily felt a deep sense of gratitude and accomplishment. They had uncovered the truth and safeguarded their legacy. The farm, now a symbol of resilience and bravery, stood as a reminder of what they could achieve together. With Thunder by their side, they knew they could face whatever the future held. The hidden threats had been exposed, and the farm had returned to its rightful state of peace and security. The Watsons, united and stronger than ever, looked forward to the future with hope and determination, ready to protect their home and cherish the bond that had seen them through their darkest days. As the weeks went by, the Watsons continued their daily routines, but the heightened sense of vigilance never left them. They knew that while many of the criminals had been apprehended, the threat wasn't completely eradicated. Thunder, ever vigilant, maintained his protective stance, his instincts sharper than ever. One quiet evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the farm, Thunder began to exhibit signs of agitation once more. He paced back and forth near the barn, his ears pricked up and his eyes scanning the tree line. Jack noticed Thunder's behavior and felt a familiar pang of anxiety. "Dad, Thunder's on edge again," Jack said, approaching Tom, who was repairing a fence. "We need to stay alert." Tom nodded, his expression serious. "Let's gather everyone inside and secure the house. I'll call Sheriff Adams to let him know." As Tom made the call, Jack, Sarah, and Emily prepared the house, ensuring that every door and window was locked. Thunder stood by the front door, his body tense and ready for action. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation, each member of the Watson family feeling the weight of the moment. Minutes later, Sheriff Adams arrived with a few deputies. "We'll keep watch outside," he said, his voice steady. "If they come back, we'll be ready." Night fell and the farm was enveloped in darkness. The silence was punctuated only by the occasional rustle of leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. Inside, the Watsons huddled together, their hearts pounding with each passing second. Suddenly, Thunder let out a low, warning growl. The family tensed, their eyes darting to the windows. Sheriff Adams, stationed outside, signaled to his deputies, "Stay sharp, something's moving out there." From the shadows emerged several figures, their movements stealthy and calculated. The criminals, undeterred by previous setbacks, had returned to the farm with a vengeance. They crept towards the barn, their intentions clear. Thunder's growl turned into a fierce, defiant neigh. He charged out of the house, his powerful body a blur of motion. The criminals, caught off guard by the horse's sudden aggression, stumbled back, their confidence wavering. "Get off our property!" Tom shouted from the porch, his voice echoing through the night. He raised his rifle, ready to defend his family. The sheriff and his deputies moved swiftly, surrounding the intruders. A tense standoff ensued, the criminals realizing they were outmatched. In a desperate attempt, one of them lunged towards Thunder, brandishing a knife. Thunder reared up, his hooves striking out with precision. The criminal yelped in pain, dropping the weapon and falling to the ground. The sheriff quickly subdued him, while the other deputies rounded up the remaining intruders. The Watsons watched in awe and relief as Thunder, their brave protector, stood tall and proud, his eyes gleaming with determination. Sheriff Adams approached the family, a smile of admiration on his face. "Your horse is remarkable," he said. "He saved you once again." Tom patted Thunder's neck, his eyes filled with gratitude. "We're lucky to have him. He's more than just a horse, he's family." The criminals were taken away, their plans thwarted by the combined efforts of the Watsons, the sheriff, and most importantly, Thunder. The farm once again stood as a beacon of resilience and unity. As dawn broke, casting a golden light over the farm, the Watsons gathered around Thunder. Sarah, tears of pride and joy in her eyes, spoke softly. "You've protected us through everything, Thunder. We owe you so much." Jack hugged Thunder, his voice choked with emotion. "You're our hero, Thunder. We couldn't have done it without you." Emily, now fully a part of the Watson family, smiled warmly. "This farm is safe because of you, Thunder. You've shown us what true courage looks like." With the immediate threat behind them, the Watsons felt a renewed sense of peace and security. They had faced danger head-on and emerged victorious, thanks to the unwavering loyalty and bravery of their remarkable horse. The courageous stand Thunder had taken would be remembered forever, a testament to the bond that had seen them through their darkest hours. As the family and their protector walked back towards the house, they knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. Thunder's courage had inspired them all, and with him by their side, they were ready for whatever the future held. The farm, now a symbol of strength and unity, stood as a reminder of the incredible bond between the Watsons and their loyal guardian, Thunder. The morning after the dramatic confrontation, the Watsons gathered in the kitchen, the weight of the previous night's events still fresh in their minds. Sheriff Adams had stayed late into the night to ensure everything was secure and to finalize the arrests of the intruders. The family's sense of relief was palpable, but so was their gratitude towards Thunder. "We need to do something special for Thunder," Jack said, his eyes bright with determination. "He's protected us time and time again. He deserves a proper reward." Tom nodded in agreement. "You're right, Jack. Thunder has been our guardian and hero. It's time we show him how much he means to us." Sarah smiled, her eyes soft with affection. "I've been thinking the same thing. Let's plan a celebration to honor Thunder. We can invite the neighbors, the sheriff, and everyone who supported us." Emily clapped her hands together. "That's a wonderful idea. We can have a barbecue and make a special area for Thunder with all his favorite treats." The family sprang into action, their spirits lifted by the prospect of honoring their beloved horse. Invitations were sent out, and the entire community eagerly responded, excited to celebrate Thunder's bravery. Preparations for the event were in full swing, with decorations, food, and activities being organized to make the day unforgettable. On the day of the celebration, the farm buzzed with excitement. The sun shone brightly, casting a warm glow over the fields. Neighbors arrived, bringing homemade dishes and gifts for Thunder. The atmosphere was filled with joy and camaraderie, a stark contrast to the tension that had gripped the farm in recent weeks. Thunder, sensing the excitement, trotted around the yard, his mane flowing in the breeze. He greeted each guest with a gentle nuzzle, his eyes reflecting the bond he shared with the community. A special area had been set up for him, adorned with ribbons and banners proclaiming him as the hero he was. As the festivities began, Sheriff Adams took the stage, his voice carrying over the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are here today to honor an extraordinary hero. Thunder has shown incredible bravery and loyalty, protecting the Watson family and our community. His actions have inspired us all." He turned to Thunder, a smile of admiration on his face. "Thunder, on behalf of everyone here, thank you for your courage and your unwavering devotion. You are a true hero." The crowd erupted in applause, cheering for Thunder. Jack stepped forward, holding a beautifully crafted plaque. "Thunder, this is for you," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "You've saved us in ways we can't even describe. We are so grateful for you." Tom and Sarah joined Jack, placing a garland of fresh flowers around Thunder's neck. "You've protected our family and our home," Sarah said softly. "We love you, Thunder." Emily, her eyes shining with pride, held up a large, colorful cake shaped like a horse. "This is just for you, Thunder," she said with a laugh. "You deserve the best." Thunder neighed happily, his eyes bright as he enjoyed the attention and affection. The community gathered around, sharing stories and laughter, celebrating the bond that had brought them together. As the day turned to evening, the Watsons and their neighbors sat around a large bonfire, the flickering flames casting a warm glow on their faces. Tom looked around at the smiling faces, his heart swelling with gratitude. "This farm has always been our home, but it's more than that now," he said, his voice strong. "It's a place of unity, strength, and love. We've faced challenges, but we've come through them together. This is thanks to Thunder and the support of this incredible community." Sarah nodded, tears of happiness in her eyes. "We've learned that no matter what happens, we are never alone. Thunder has shown us the power of loyalty and bravery, and for that, we are forever grateful." As the stars twinkled in the night sky, Jack leaned against Thunder, his heart filled with peace. "You're our hero, Thunder. We'll always protect each other, just like you've protected us." The celebration continued late into the night, filled with music, laughter, and the warm glow of the fire. Thunder, content and happy, lay near the Watsons, his family and friends surrounding him. The hero's reward was not just in the form of treats and accolades, but in the deep, unbreakable bond he shared with those who loved him. The Watson farm, now a symbol of resilience and unity, stood as a testament to the power of love and loyalty. The community, inspired by Thunder's bravery, felt a renewed sense of hope and strength. Together, they knew they could face any challenge, with Thunder as their guardian and hero. As the fire crackled and the night grew quiet, the Watsons and their neighbors reflected on the journey they had shared. They had faced darkness and danger, but through it all, they had discovered the true meaning of courage and unity. And with thunder by their side, they knew that the future was bright and filled with promise.